this morning, sun's a bit hazy. Checking the forecast, things looking crazy. A storm on the horizon, the pressure is low. Gotta get moving, put on a show. The news is all buzzing, state of alert, but we've got a plan, we're ready to work. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. See a little fire or a rising flood, we're a well-oiled machine, we're running in the mud. From the city hall meetings to the rescue teams, turning worst case scenarios into hopeful dreams. We're training the people, stocking the gear, we're the team you can count on when trouble is near. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. It's more than a job, it's a calling, you see. Prepared for the present and what's yet to be. Every second counts, we're ready to react for our communities. We're making an impact. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. Yeah, we're picking you up, we're ready to go. EMA, let's get this show on the road.
Let's do this, guys. Let's kick this can. Let's make it happen. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. My name is Ron Tyler. I'm the president of Emergency Management Associates, and we are on the air right now. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Welcome, everybody. We appreciate you being here with us. We have Tina Johnson here. Appreciate you being here. Rich Quake, my dear friend from Nova Scotia, Canada. He's here, one of our moderators. And Linda Covington is also here. Great to see you guys here. We're going to have more here, I'm sure, very shortly. Guys, we have some things that we need to talk about. Quite a few things we want to talk about tonight. The very first thing is President Trump is in France. President Trump is in France. Over the weekend, Iran had agreed to not just a ceasefire, but end of hostilities between Israel, the United States, and Iran. End of hostilities. They have come to an agreement in Pakistan, and they are going to go over to Switzerland on Friday. They're going to travel to Switzerland on Friday for a signing between Vice President Vance, representing the United States, and other representatives from Israel as well. That's going to happen on Friday. Let's let President Trump tell us what's going on here. Again, he's in France right now for the G7 summit, talking to French President Macron.
So we had two big moments. When I terminated the JCPOA, that was the Obama deal, the Barack Hussein Obama deal. And when I terminated that, it was very important because it was a road to a nuclear weapon. It was a horrible deal for the United States. It was a deal where billions of dollars was given to Iran. It was a deal where 1.7 billion in cash was put on a Boeing 757, I guess, right? But it was put on a big, beautiful Boeing 757. They needed a Boeing 747, to be honest with you, because there was a lot of cash. 1.7 billion was taken out of the banks and given to Iran. And on top of that, tens of billions of dollars was paid. So they tried to bribe them to make a deal, and that didn't work. It never works. And we've done a great job. And hopefully it's going to be a good relationship, and we're going to get along. And if we don't, we go back to where we started, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. The Iran deal that we made is going to bring a lot of success to the world, because the oil was really clogged up there for a while. He would call me on occasion and say, "Come on, please, let's go with the oil prices." But the oil is coming way down, so I'm very honored by it. I want to thank you for your help. You've always been a help. And it's an honor to be with you. We had a very good conversation yesterday with President Zelensky and President Putin. And I see maybe we can do something there. I really do. I think they're both open to it. So I'm going to, now that this is finished, we're going to be focusing on that, see if we can get that one done. 25,000 people a month are dying, mostly soldiers, and that shouldn't happen. But I had two very good conversations yesterday. We'll be talking about it. And we had a really exciting, I think maybe one of the most incredible evenings in the history of the White House. We had an evening last night with the fighters, and I was very happy. I called last night, very late last night, to congratulate you, because in the heavyweight division, a French fighter won. I don't know, is that maybe more important than the World Cup? To some people it might be. To some people it might be. You have a good team with the World Cup, very good team, but you have good fighters too. And you're a great country, and it's an honor to be with you. Thank you very much.
Hey, sir, are you going to try to attend the signing ceremony on Friday?
Well, it depends. JD's coming in for it. He was originally going to do it. I'll probably be gone by then. We're having dinner in a day and a half, right? We're going to be staying quite late. So I may be involved, I may not. But JD was coming in for that specifically.
Thank you.
Mr. President, when will the text of the MOU be released?
I think pretty soon. I would say, I mean, I want it to be released because it's a very powerful document. It's not like the Obama document, which was just a terrible document. This is a very powerful document, and I want it to be released. So probably pretty soon. I would say sometime after Friday, because the Strait opens completely. It's open now, but it opens completely. We'll have all the mines knocked out for the most part. We have a lot of lanes right now already.
Mr. President.
So I think sometime in the very near future. Yeah.
Mr. President, does the deal involve any sanctions relief for Iran? When would that go into effect?
No, it doesn't. Well, they have to. It's really a behavioral thing. If they do what they're supposed to do, that starts taking effect.
Monsieur Macron, quel engagement êtes-vous prêt à prendre au nom de la France dans le détroit d'Ormuz? Vous parlez du porte-avions Charles de Gaulle. Mr. President, what do you expect from France and
well, I would love them to do that. I don't think we're going to need much help because we have an agreement where it's going to be open. And it's toll-free. We had a little argument on that. It's toll-free. So I don't think we're going to need much help. But I don't think it's a bad idea to have a ship or two up here from a few countries. You'd be a great country to do it, because you never know what happens. But I think it's going to be open, and I think it's going to be free sailing. We do want to see if we can straighten out the Lebanon thing, because it just seems to just never end. And that's a mini version of what we were doing, and it should not be tough. It should not be tough. So Hezbollah, we have to.
Okay, I'm not going to let this commercial go. I want to play this through because there's a lot of good information on it. Just a second. Okay, I guess that was the end of it. But anyway, what President Trump is doing right now, he's at the G7 summit for the next few days. Then I believe he's either going to fly over to Switzerland to help sign the agreement between the United States, Iran, and Israel. And then he will probably be going back to Washington, D.C. after that. Okay? Will be returned to the United States. A lot of things have happened. Tons of things have happened. We finally got a formal agreement between Iran right now, and as of yesterday, Iran was denying it. Iran was completely denying that it happened. It has happened. I want to make that clear. It has happened. U.S. has said it. It's in the papers. It's all over the internet. It has happened. But again, the critics from Iran are saying it hasn't happened. We'll see on Friday. We'll see what happens on Friday. Okay? Now, the next thing I want to talk about, I believe, is very important. Okay? I believe it's very, very important. Last week, Karmelo Anthony, you might remember him from earlier last year, last April. He was at a track meet for his school. The person he stabbed was on the other side of the field. Okay? Karmelo Anthony came from the other side of the field where he was at and went over to his rival school, and he proceeded to talk down to this man right here. His name was Austin Metcalf. He was talking down to him, trying to push him around, and then he was asked to go back to his other side to the field, go to the other side of the field, back with his own school. He refused to do that. Then he got in the personal space of Mr. Metcalf, Austin Metcalf. When he refused to get out of Metcalf's space, Metcalf pushed him. At this point, Karmelo Anthony produced a knife and stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest, puncturing his heart. I've had a number of people that have asked me all weekend long to talk about this because they feel it is a national case involving murder. Yes, it is involving Karmelo Anthony committing murder. Everybody's wondering what's going on. They're calling it a bad case. Calling it a bad case, one, because the judge and the prosecutor and the defense attorneys did not have any black people on the jury. There's a reason for that. Okay? But they still saying something's wrong with that, because he was not represented by black people on the jury. Again, Karmelo Anthony and his family are calling it a racial issue. This issue had nothing to do with race at all. Yes, it happened to be a black man, unfortunately. The black man is now 19 years old. He was 17 at the time when he committed the murder, and that in and of itself by law, requires him to be sentenced as an adult. Witnesses reported that the confrontation began during a regional track meet at Coindale Stadium in Frisco, Texas. A student at Centennial High School, Karmelo Anthony, was sitting under the Memorial High School Team tent. The Memorial High School Team tent. Austin Metcalf was at the high school tent. Okay? At the Memorial High School tent. He had told Karmelo Anthony to get out of his face, to leave the tent and leave him alone. Investigators found no evidence that those two young men knew each other prior to the event. An arrest report detailed Anthony's interactions with law enforcement in the moments following the stabbing and after that. According to the document, witnesses pointed him out to the school resource officer, who located Anthony on the north end of the track. After he committed the murder, after he stabbed Mr. Metcalf, he ran over the north end of the track. The police officer said, quote, "I gave the suspect instructions to keep his hands up in the air. During this time, the suspect verbally out loud said, 'I was protecting myself.'" The officer noted in the report, the suspect also stated, "He put his hands on me. He put his hands on me." After the officer mentioned to colleagues that he had the alleged suspect in custody, Anthony interjected, quote, "I'm not alleged. I did it," unquote. In other words, Anthony admitted to his crime. Anthony admitted that he had stabbed Austin Metcalf. He said he put his hands on me. I told him not to. Okay? As officers escorted him out of the stadium in handcuffs, he kept talking. Okay? Now, the officer had read him his rights. You have the right to remain silent. If you give up that right, you will be held accountable in court. Okay? And he continued on. The report also states that Anthony later asked officers if the victim was going to be okay, and quote, asked if what happened could be considered self-defense. Already at the time, right after he committed the offense, he was already considering to be self-defense. Self-defense. Never at any point in time during the trial or any time prior to that did Austin Metcalf's family or anybody else under the team tent say that Austin Metcalf had a weapon, which he did not. In the days following the stabbing, the case exploded in social media, on all social media platforms, including TikTok, YouTube, and even Reddit. Okay? Anthony maintained his self-defense claim from jail, where initially he was held on $1 million bond. 12 days after his arrest, the judge reduced the bond to $250,000, citing his lack of a prior criminal record. That means his family would have had to get up $25,000 minimum as bond. $25,000 as bond. 3 days later, Anthony's family held a press conference, urging the public to lower the emotional temperature surrounding the case. This is where a lot of people had problems. My email was flooded with, I want to say, 15 emails about this case. The pool of roughly 500 prospective jurors was narrowed down to 12. 500 prospective jurors were brought into the case to court to try to settle this case. Of course, 500 jurors would not be there. 500 jurors was too much to even try this case. But they had to get a lot of jurors, prospective jurors, into the court to dwindle it down to 12, to take it down to 12 guys. That's why. 12 jurors and 6 alternates in Collin County, Texas, with opening statements that started a week and a half later. Police said Anthony and Metcalf got into an argument over seating in the stands, arguing a seating in the other team's tent, which escalated when Anthony stabbed Metcalf in the chest with a pocket knife. That's the other issue here. Karmelo Anthony had a knife. As most of you know that have had children in school, and even if you have not had children in school, most of you know that you're not supposed to be bringing weapons to school. But he did. Anthony Carmelo Anthony, the Texas teenager, was charged with first-degree murder in the 2025 stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school athletics event in Dallas, Texas area. He was found guilty by a jury last Tuesday. The racially polarizing event, the trial of Carmelo Anthony, from the event that happened last April 2025, the death of Austin Metcalf drew national attention. It sparked a huge debate with self-defense and school safety. It sparked a huge self-defense debate about school safety, whether people could bring in weapons into school. We all know that that's not possible. That should never have happened. Both of the young men were 17 at the time of the incident. The prosecutor, Bill Werski, is a veteran prosecutor. He's tried some very high profile cases. Then we have the defense attorney, Mike Howard. He is an excellent criminal defense attorney as well. They, along with the DA, the district attorney, Toby Shook, S-H-O-O-K, has brought in both a prosecutor and a criminal defense attorney. The defense attorney, Mike Howard, is an excellent criminal defense attorney as well. They, along with the district attorney, came together with a case in court. After meeting with the attorneys, once they got into court 2 weeks ago, on a Wednesday afternoon, Judge John Roach excused the first 150 jurors. John Roach, the judge, excused the first 150 jurors. During the second round of strikes, meaning the jurors, either one, didn't want to be there for whatever reason, or two, because of what they did for work, or their mental attitude towards racial profiling, or bringing weapons into school, whatever it is, the judge dismissed the first 150 people. That's called striking those jurors. During the second round of strikes, the defense raised the issue over 3 potential jurors that the prosecution chose to strike. The defense argued that they were black females and similarly situated as another white female that the prosecution did not strike. Prosecutors clarified that the 3 women were struck for non-racial issues. All 3 listed their occupations as educators. This is a thing, guys. They were educators. They're teachers. Okay? And it seems that the prosecution does not want educators on the jury because the alleged incident happened at a school function with school-aged children. Okay? They did not want those females there because they were educators and they might have probable cause in their own minds to make sure Carmelo Anthony paid the price. Okay? This is the prosecution wanted them taken off the case. The judge sided with the prosecutors and agreed to strike those 3 women. Finally, a 12-person jury was seated with a mixture of both men and women. No black jurors were selected. There was one educator on the jury, but she was an esthetician who taught at a trade school in Dallas, Texas. An esthetician teaching at a trade school. She did not work in a traditional school environment or with high school age children. The defense attorneys raised what's known as a Batson challenge, the B-A-T-S-O-N challenge, which is a legal objection used when the one side believes potential jurors were removed because of race. Anna Offit, law professor at Southern Methodist University, who's not even involved in the case, said this: Batson challenges are rarely made and rarely successful. The reason for that is it's not very challenging for a party to be able to come up with a number of right neutral reasons, other reasons that a strike might have been exercised. The party meaning the strike was exercised because the prosecution and or the defense or the judge didn't want those jurors to be there. That's called a strike, taking the jurors out of the jury pool. The party challenging the strike at that point is going to have to prove purposeful discrimination. Purposeful discrimination. The Batson challenge and jury selection would come into question for any possible appeals later in the trial. Now we're after the trial. When Batson concerns have been raised on appeal, it's exactly the same sort of inquiry into right of prospective jurors being asked the same questions. The right of prospective jurors being asked the same questions. All jurors, guys, I've served on many juries in my life. I've also been dismissed from the jury pool. One, because I was a police officer, and two, I was a traffic accident investigator that was specializing in DUI infractions. I was an expert witness when it came to DUI trials, DUI prosecutions. So I took myself off the case. The prosecutors and the defense and the judge agreed with that. I was taken off the case. But I did serve on some trial juries. Okay? The reason I was taken off that one trial because it was a DUI trial. A DUI trial. Naturally, they struck me from that trial. Okay? When Batson concerns were raised on appeal, it's exactly the sort of inquiry into right prospective jurors being asked the same questions. All jurors must be asked the same questions. Every juror must be asked the same questions. Otherwise, that also is discriminatory. The same questions is substantively the same number of follow-up questions as well. The same number of follow-up questions. Yes, there is a series of questions that can be asked of prospective jurors, and if a prospective juror, or I shouldn't say the prospective juror, or the prosecution or the defense and or the judge has follow-up questions, every juror must be asked the same follow-up questions as well. That is the law. Okay? To begin the selection process, before leaving, members of the pool were asked to fill out a detailed questionnaire. Before even being brought into the courtroom, when you are in the jury selection area of the courthouse, prospective jurors are brought into that area and given a detailed questionnaire. Then before they are brought into the courtroom, that questionnaire goes to the judge, the defense attorneys, and the prosecuting attorneys. For the prosecution, Assistant District Attorney Dewey Mitchell said he wanted jurors to listen to evidence with an open mind, then follow the law to render a verdict. He asked the potential jurors questions like, how do you feel about serving on this trial? Have you heard about this case? One potential juror said it was fine, another said, I don't want to. Third potential juror who read it on social media, yet another potential jury was a Frisco school district educator. A Frisco, Texas school district educator who told the prosecutor this story hits too close to home for her. So she was struck. A major jurist said he didn't know if he could send her brother to jail. Another said moral and religious beliefs would keep him from being able to send someone. Those jurors were also dismissed. Mitchell asked potential juries if race could affect their ability to determine guilt or innocence. A handful of people said it could for a variety of reasons. So those people also struck from the jury pool. The prosecutor also noted that in his entire career, he's never had to have this kind of conversation about race with the jury. Defense attorney Mike Howard, however, began questioning potential jurors after they had all come back after lunch recess. He said all of Anthony's friends and family call him Mello. So that's what we will refer to him as during this trial. You want to make that very clear. That way the jurors were not misunderstanding that it was Karmelo or any other name. Mello is what the jurors were told to refer to him because they're going to refer Karmelo Anthony as Mello. Howard said the case will come down to the question of whether Anthony had the right to defend himself that fateful day. The defense attorney asked the group if anyone would hold it against his client if he chose not to testify on his own behalf. This is a Fifth Amendment issue. You don't have to incriminate yourself. You don't have to incriminate yourself. But Anthony already did that. Karmelo Anthony, at the time of his arrest, said he did it. He said the cop told him that he was allegedly the one that did it. Karmelo Anthony said that he had done it. Not allegedly, he had done it. Okay? But this case, he was not told that he had to testify because he has a right to not incriminate himself. He chose not to do it. He chose not to testify for himself. A handful of potential jurors said they would. They will hold it against Karmelo Anthony if he testified or did not testify on his own behalf. Either way. Howard then questioned the jurors about their feelings when it comes to prison sentencing. He asked if anyone in that jury pool would have a problem sentencing someone to 5 years in prison, which is the lower end of the murder conviction should they find the person guilty. No one raised their hands. A couple of people did say they would have a problem sentencing someone to just 2 years in prison if that person were convicted of a lower charge of, say, manslaughter. One man said it was just too low. Prosecutors argued that Anthony threatened Metcalf before he intentionally killed him. Karmelo Anthony threatened Metcalf before he intentionally killed him. While defense attorneys argued that Anthony was acting in self-defense because Anthony continued to harass and violated Metcalf's personal space. At one point, Metcalf pushes Anthony away from him. Anthony claimed he stabbed him in self-defense. Anthony claimed he stabbed Metcalf in self-defense since Metcalf pushed him back. Again, Metcalf did not have any kind of knife, weapon of any kind. Nothing. Not a thing. This past week, Anthony was sentenced to 35 years in prison. Karmelo Anthony was sentenced to 35 years in prison. The young men were at a secondary high school, a track meet, when the incident happened. Austin Metcalf's death was the result of a dispute that escalated between the two rival secondary schools. That is according to police reports. Students testified at the trial about the heated exchange between the two, describing a rainy day on which Anthony refused to leave the tent that belonged to Metcalf's team. Though Anthony was 17 at the time of the murder on 2 April 2025, under Texas law, he was able to be charged as an adult. The case involving Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf continues to draw much public attention. It's all over the internet. with many focused on the issue of accountability. The issue of accountability here. Who is accountable for his behavior? For many people, the key question is whether justice could be served or would be served based on the facts presented in court. If the court finds that a crime was committed, the appropriate legal consequences should follow. At the center of the case is a family mourning loss of one of their beloved sons, whose life was ended far too soon. The death penalty was not even considered, as Anthony was a minor at the time of Metcalf's death. Throughout the trial, prosecutors called nearly 24 witnesses, concentrating their evidence on eyewitness testimonies. People who were eyewitness testimonies of the crime. One of the most emotional testimonies came from Collin County Chief Medical Examiner, Dr. Elizabeth Ventura, who described a large gaping wound in Metcalf's chest, and said that the knife that Karmelo Anthony used had pierced Metcalf's heart. Pierced Metcalf's heart. The prosecution's student witnesses described Anthony as the aggressor. The defense also called multiple witnesses, including students and track coach Adam Linwood, who said Anthony had been nominated for the role of team captain. Karmelo Anthony had done well in school, with nearly perfect grades that gave him a 4.0 grade point average GPA, according to the Dallas area media. The two young men did not attend the same school and had no prior connection before this. Anthony did not testify during the trial, but his mother took the stand during the sentencing portion and said her son was sorry that she asked for his mercy, asked for the judge's mercy. This past Tuesday, the Texas jury reached a guilty verdict in less than 3 hours. The judge had allowed them to consider lesser charges of manslaughter, for example, which would have given him a shorter sentence, up to 20 years in prison instead of 35. But they did not choose that. Now, the jury has a position, has the obligation to decide the sentencing as well. And then the judge can come back and also reduce that sentence. Okay? The jury did not decide to choose the lesser sentence. The tragedy flooded social media, with some marking or making the case about race, which had nothing to do with it. Yes, Anthony's black, and Metcalf was white. But both lawyers on both sides told the jury that the killing was not about race. The civil rights organization Next Generation Action Network, which had advocated for Anthony, noted that not one juror was black. Quote, "Our community has carried the weight of this tragedy for more than a year. Our thoughts remain with the impacted families, the friends and classmates," the Frisco School District said in a statement after the verdict. "We respect the judicial process and will continue to support our students with compassion and care. We know that this trial has brought strong emotions and deep-seated grief. We ask that our community continue to support each other with respect, sensitivity, and understanding." The family of Karmelo Anthony, the same Texas teenager convicted this week of murder, the fatal stabbing of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet, used the proceeds of a crowdfunding campaign They used the proceeds of money from a crowdfunding campaign that raised over $634,000. $634,000 to pay for relocation, moving out of the area, and basic living expenses, not solely for his legal defense. Yes, he got a legal defense. He got a defense attorney that was very much really legally qualified, morally and legally qualified. It was said to be a great defense attorney. But again, his mother obtained $634,000 to pay for relocation and basic living expenses. Guess what? Guess what she did? She bought a huge, expensive home and a car, a brand new, expensive sedan with that money. Instead of putting that money for her son's defense, she allowed for Texas to put the money for defense of her son. She used the money to buy a huge, expensive home and a new car, not just basic living expenses. The day after the verdict, Karmelo Anthony's defense attorney filed a notice of appeal. The documents state that he cannot afford a new attorney, describing himself as penniless, destitute, and an indigent person. Too poor to employ counsel to represent me on appeal. That money that was raised for his mother to relocate out of town was supposed to also help him pay for legal expenses. It did not. His legal team has filed a notice of appeal. The fundraiser's stated purpose, quote, made it clear that the money would cover more than courtroom costs. The campaign page stated that the funds would support the safe relocation of the Anthony family due to escalating threats for the safety and well-being, as well as basic living costs, transportation, counseling, and other security measures. None of the money was used for legal defense. Again, Anthony's mother is said to have taken the money, purchased a very expensive home, and is now living a life that she did not have prior to her son committing this heinous crime. Okay? Now, I am not going to reveal the cost of the home that she bought, but it was expensive. It was not a normal home. Very sad. His mother was very, very, very jealous because she was able to use that money for herself, not considering her son at all. Selfish and jealous. That's what I'm claiming right now. Those are my opinions. Those are my opinions alone. I want to make that very clear. I've given you the evidence about this case. I've told you what's happened. I told you everything that's gone on prior to this case going to court. I talked about jury selection because everybody was questioning jury selection because there was no black people in the jury. I told you why. In the entire jury pool, they had 3 women that were black. 3 women that were black. That's it. No other men. They were struck because they were educators. They were teachers that might be prejudiced either way. So they were dismissed. They were struck from the jury pool. That's why the jury was all white. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that if there were black people in the jury, that they would not have come to the same conclusion of guilty for murder. They might have not have done that. We don't know. But this case is now on appeal. We'll see what happens. But what I'm asking everybody, do not turn this into a racial thing. It is not racist. Yes, the guilty party was black, but that has nothing to do with the situation. The man that stabbed him did. The mad person did. Okay? I'm saying he was probably not in his right faculties, although I'm sure the defense and the prosecutor brought him before a psychologist to determine if he could stand trial, which he did. But please, guys, I'm asking everybody, do not use race when it comes to his appeal. Do not use race as a possible reason for appeal. It has nothing to do with that. It's having to do with some person who is not in his right mind, and I don't want that used as a defense either. But anyone that would have done this probably was not in the right mind. No one is in the right mind who kills another person willfully, and he did. He did. It was not sorrowful for it at all. He told the officer that he did it. He was not the alleged suspect. He did it. It was not sorrowful at all. That's why he was convicted. That's why he was convicted. Does anybody have any questions for me? Yes, Linda Covington says the father of Metcalf, Austin Metcalf, was told that there was a gag order, so at the time of the trial, he could not say a word to the public at all. But after the trial was over, the gag order was lifted. And yes, he did do a 2-post discussion about everything that's happened. Okay, that is public knowledge. I feel very sad for Austin Metcalf and his family. I feel very sad for Austin Metcalf and his family. What happened should not have happened at all. It did. Every time something like this has happened, I don't care whether it's Texas, California, Oregon, Washington, North Dakota, Minnesota, New York, wherever it has, it's a very sad state of affairs. But we as citizens of this country, we as citizens of this world, should not be going after murdering someone because we don't agree with them. Or we are in a battle on a field, physical battle on a field, trying to decide who is going to win a race. That also should not lead to this stabbing at all. Should never have happened. You and I and everyone else should not be that kind of person. We should be people that stand up for each other's rights. We don't necessarily have to be loving towards each other. We should, but we don't have to be. But we should never, ever exercise any malice toward anyone, ever. Not everyone. Not ever. Charlene Saban is saying, pitiful excuse for parents. I agree. I totally agree. The father and mother had split. Okay, that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. Whenever you have a parental split, that puts kids in charge of just themselves. Yes, the guy, Mr. Anthony, had a 4.0 excellent grade average. He took care of himself. Took care of himself. but he did not do right. He was out of control. I agree, Charlene, he was out of control. His mother should have given him more guidance throughout his life. His father should also, no matter whether he split from the mother, his father also should have exercised caution, should have exercised some control over his son as well. Not just the mother's fault, but the father's as well. I blame the mother for taking all that money and buying an expensive house in another area. That's granted. Yes, it is. It's supposed to be in another area, away from being persecuted from where she was. That's fine. That's why she was given the money. But buying a very expensive house and a very expensive car should have been out of the question. Should have been out of the question. But it wasn't that way. That's one of the things I have in opposition to the mother. I think she took that money and said, oh my gosh, I got all this money. Guess what I can get? Whatever I want. A sorry excuse for mother. That's my opinion. Okay? Now, I've given you guys time to ask questions about this. Let's leave this in the dust, okay? I want to talk about earthquakes first, okay? Before I go any further. I'm going to bring up the USGS map here. I'm going to take down our EMA banner here. I'm going to take down our webcam for the time being. What I'm showing you here is the southern part of Mindanao, Philippines. This island here is the southern part of Mindanao, Philippines Island, which is the largest island in the Philippine chain. The largest island in the Philippine island chain happens to be southern Philippines. The USGS is only showing us what? 4 earthquakes. 4 earthquakes, guys. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. I want to show you this earthquake first. USGS now has this as a 6.2 earthquake. They have this as a 6.2 very strong earthquake. 6.0, 6.9 are considered to be very strong earthquakes. This was a 6.2 earthquake here. The 6.2 earthquake struck today off the southeast side of Mindanao, Philippines, offshore. Offshore. This is 67 kilometers east-southeast of Morganton, Philippines. Okay? This being a very strong earthquake, that close to land. It affected homes, it affected businesses, it affected buildings that have previously collapsed in that 8.4 earthquake that happened last Monday. It's been 7 days since that earthquake hit. That 8.4 earthquake hit offshore, off the southwestern shore of Mindanao, Philippines, right here, where this 5.5 earthquake struck today. Again, a 5.5 earthquake struck 5 kilometers, 2.25 miles southwest of Pangan, Philippines. 2.25 miles off the coast of Pangan, Philippines. This is a large earthquake. 5.0, 5.9 are large earthquakes. This is a mid-region large earthquake. Meaning this earthquake also affected people here on land, very close to the shoreline. It affected everybody here on land, guys. Everybody in this region here. Everybody. Everybody, guys. It affected everybody. everybody in this region. Okay? Right now, we still have search and rescue and recovery people on scene over here on the southwest and southeast side of Mindanao, Philippines. If there's still somebody still alive here 1 week later, after the major 8.4 earthquake hit, USGS called it a 7.8 earthquake. I showed documentation last week after it happened that this was a much larger earthquake. There's still people trapped in the rubble. There are still people trapped in the rubble here. We just had a 5.5 earthquake hit here. And out here, off the coast here, a 6.2 earthquake hit here today. Earlier today. 5:18 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time here in the United States. That means it was possibly late evening, almost nighttime in the Philippines. 67 kilometers offshore, still a very strong earthquake. These people here on the southeastern side of Mindanao, Philippines, felt this earthquake. They felt this earthquake at some point in time. Possibly not a 6.2, but they felt this earthquake nonetheless. It still rattled homes that were being gone through to try to find victims. Buildings that were going to be gone through by rescuers and recovery people to try to find people that had been buried here because of the earthquake. That's what happened. That's what happened. Now this earthquake off the coast here, look where it's at. It's on the fault line here, which is the what? The Philippine plate here. This is on the south side or the east side of the Philippines here. The Philippines here. This is the Philippine plate here. Okay. Now, the Philippine plate goes down here to the south and wraps around southern Mindanao, Philippines. Wraps around southern Mindanao, Philippines here. Then we have a trench here. We have a huge trench here. Huge trench here. Right here. Between the trench and the Philippine plate caused that huge 8.4 earthquake here some days ago. That's why these earthquakes here hit. USGS is also showing only 2 other earthquakes. A larger 4.9 5.0. I call it a 4.9 5.0 because USGS downgrades these earthquakes. They now have this earthquake listed as a 4.9. They downgrade the earthquake to the nearest 0.9. The 0.9 society is alive and well here all over the world. Down here to the south here, this is 6 kilometers offshore. Also 4.9 5.0 earthquake. 4.9 5.0 earthquakes. In other words, we have 2 large earthquakes right here. Besides the 5.5 and the 6.2 earthquake here. But guys, that's not all. That's not all at all. There's more aftershocks than that. Again, USGS is not telling us the full story of what happened here. They never do. They never tell us what's going on here. They try to tell us most of the story is fabricated. Most of the story is fabricated. Now, I'm going to put this down at the left-hand side of the screen here so you can still see it. What I want to show you is what actually happened here in the Philippines today. What happened here in the Philippines today? I'm going to bring up our webcam here so I can show you the other earthquakes that hit here. This is important. This is important. We have 48 earthquakes that hit this region. 48 earthquakes that hit this region today. USGS is showing us 5 earthquakes. 48 earthquakes hit. All of these earthquakes are aftershocks. Several thousand aftershocks so far since last Monday. Several thousand aftershocks so far since last Monday. This is that 6.2 earthquake that you see here on the USGS map. Right next to that 6.2 earthquake, we have a 4.4 moderate aftershock. 4.0, 4.9 are moderate earthquakes. Moderate earthquakes. This is a 4.9, 5.0 earthquake, literally just barely south of the 6.2 aftershock. 4.9, 5.0 aftershock from the 6.2 earthquake here. It's not the only ones here. Look at all these other earthquakes here. Look at all these other earthquakes here. Here's another large earthquake here. This is a 5.01 earthquake here. 5.01 large earthquake here. I'm not going to show you the exact magnitude of every earthquake here. That would be pointless and take a lot of time here. But what I am going to do is show you some of them. This is a small 3.2. This is a small 3.23 small earthquake. 3.0, 3.9 are small earthquakes. This is a 3.23 earthquake here. Just barely to the southeast here, southwest. This is a 3.0 earthquake here. 3.0. But I want to go up here further to the north here. This is a 3.2. 3.2 earthquake here. Then I'm going up here to the southeast side of the island. This is a 2.7 minor earthquake. 2.0, 2.9 are minor earthquakes. This is a 2.7 minor earthquake here. Not all of these earthquakes can be felt by people, even on land. Minor earthquakes are not felt by people on land, unless the person is very, very sensitive. Then they might feel a 2.8, 2.9, but that's about it. Very tiny earthquake. Then we go down here to the south side of Mindanao, Philippines here. This is a 3.1 small earthquake here. 3.1 small earthquake. Southeast of there. This is a 3.7 small earthquake. Then I want to go over to Balut Island. Balut Island. This small round island is called Balut Island. We have an earthquake there. This is a 3.2 small earthquake. 3.2 small earthquake. Okay. Now I'm going to increase the size of this map so you can see what I'm talking about on the map. Okay. This island sits, that's more of a cigar shape north and south island. That is an island called Sarangani, Philippines. Sarangani, Philippines. There's a lot of damage and people were killed here in Sarangani, Philippines as well. This island here, this almost circular island here with the volcano in the middle, that's called Balut, B-A-L-U-T, Philippines, Philippines. That's a 3.2 earthquake. Then directly between both those islands here, this is a 3.7 earthquake that USGS is not showing us here. 3.7 small earthquake here. Like I said, USGS is not showing us all the earthquakes at all. At all. I'm going to pull down this map some more here. I want to show you other earthquakes that hit here. To the south of that 5.5 earthquake here, there was also another small earthquake that hit here. We have a 3.8 small earthquake that hit here, just up the coast of Mindanao, Philippines. Then going north on the island, this is the 3.5 small earthquake. 3.0, 3.9, 4.0, 4.9, 5.0 to 5.9, 6.0, 6.9, 7.0 plus earthquakes can be felt by everybody. Small earthquakes can be felt here. They felt this earthquake. Small earthquakes can cause damage from the other earthquakes to increase in damage. The small earthquakes can also cause damage to increase from damage that was already there. Another earthquake further south. This is another 3.0 small earthquake here. Okay? Earthquakes keep hitting Mindanao, Philippines every day. Every day. This is the 3.3 earthquake here. 3.3 small earthquake here. Then offshore here. Offshore. See where it says Calbay, Philippines here? Offshore here, we have another 3.3 earthquake here. 3.3 earthquake right here. USGS not showing us that either. Let's go further out here to the north. Let's go further out here to the north here. We have another earthquake here. Again, offshore. Between Caburan Small and Carabayan, Philippines here. Off the coast again. This is a 2.7 earthquake here. Off the coast. These small earthquakes, these tiny earthquakes here, yes, I'm going to call a minor earthquake tiny because nobody can feel it, especially since it's in the water. Nobody feels earthquakes in the water because this small of an earthquake, the water absorbs the shock waves of the quake. Even when earthquakes are far enough offshore, the waters of the ocean absorb the shock waves of the quake. They absorb the shock waves of the quake. In this case, this case today, they have now since taken down the 6.2 earthquake that hit here earlier today. They've taken it down. They're not showing it. Yet, it happened, guys. This earthquake happened at 10:49 a.m. today. 10:49 a.m. today. USGS has already taken it down. I think that's irresponsible. They used to leave earthquakes up on the map at least 24 hours. What are they? Actually, I'm sorry, my bad. They did not take it down. It's right here. It's right there. It's far enough offshore. I'm sorry. My bad here. I apologize, USGS, for bad mouthing it. But guys, this is what this agency does. People died here. People died here in the Philippines because they were not told that this was going to happen. There were all kinds of foreshocks. There were all kinds of foreshocks prior to this main quake. All kinds of them. But for the most part, they were either minor or small earthquakes. But again, I'm going to say this again and again and again until people start listening to me. When you have a small, well, not even small, when you have a group of swarm of earthquakes, that usually indicates that the larger earthquakes are coming. That usually indicates a larger earthquake is coming. We need to be very much aware of this. We need to be aware of it because people are going to die here. People are going to die. We need to understand one thing. We should not ever let that happen. We need to make sure people are aware of what's going on. They had a right to try to defend themselves. They had a right to prepare for what was going to happen. Okay? They still had a right to prepare for what was going to happen. Search and rescue teams are still filtering through damaged property. Filtering through damaged property. They believe there's still possibly a dozen people who are still trapped under rubble from that earthquake. 7.8, 8.4 earthquake. USGS downgraded that earthquake to 7.8. Like I said, I showed you at the time that this was a much larger earthquake, an 8.4 earthquake. An 8.4 earthquake, guys. 45,000 people have been displaced out of their homes as a result of that earthquake. 3,100 homes have been damaged. At least 3,100 homes have been damaged as a result of that quake. Yeah. Unreal. Unreal. Yes, I believe they're going to find the people that were buried in that rubble. Most of the time they can. Most of the time they can. But as I said last week, 7 days later, there's a very good chance they're not going to be finding anyone alive. This was once just a search and rescue operation. Now it's a search and recovery operation now. A search and recovery operation. Okay? It's very sad. A very, very sad time. I feel very, very bad about what's happened to them. Very, very bad. Does anybody have any questions about what happened here in the Philippines? Anybody have any questions? I just got an update from the Philippines. The death toll from the earthquake is now 61 people have passed away. 61 people lost their lives to the earthquake. Also, guys, you might know, maybe you don't, but that earthquake raised the seabed up higher. That earthquake raised the seabed upwards of 2.0 meters, 6.6 feet high. The seabed itself, the bottom of the ocean, was raised 6.6 feet high as a result of this earthquake. As a result of that, this earthquake has exposed coral and harmed marine life in the region. Because of that uprise in the seabed, that earthquake exposed coral that tiny creatures were living in, harming marine life in the area. I was also just informed at least 40 people still missing. 40. 40. Was thought last Friday that only 15 people were missing. Now the missing number has been raised to 40. 40 people missing. Residents first reported the geological phenomenon known as coastal uplift 2 days after the earthquake, which extended the shoreline by as much as 200 meters long. The shoreline, because the seabed has been raised, the shoreline is increased in size approximately 200 meters, 600 feet in some places. 600 feet in the increase in shoreline. A shifting of the Cotobato Trench pushed upward part of the coastline of Sarangani, which is that that cigar-shaped island there that's pointing north and south, and Davao Occidental provinces, that peninsula there, exposing the bottom of the sea that was originally submerged. There's approximately 2 meters of uplift, mapped uplift now. The trench, which lies as close as 50 kilometers, 31 miles off the coast of southern Mindanao, Philippines, is the site of many frequent seismic events, including a swarm of earthquakes, thousands of earthquakes, mostly small that were recorded this past January. Again, swarms of earthquakes recorded as early as January this year. And again, of course, USGS doesn't tell us about it. USGS doesn't tell anybody about it. This is why I'm saying all this information has to come out. All the information has to come out. That way, everybody knows what's happening here. Everybody has a right to know what's going on to protect themselves, to prepare themselves and their families for anything that could happen. That was not done again. Officials who spoke with the agency of France said they could not say precisely how wide an area has been affected. Given the size that would be needed to survey, images released by the department's regional office showed a large swath of exposed coral with dead fish and other aquatic life laying on top of it. These exposed coral and seagrass beds that had begun dying off alongside the residents' organisms as reef fishes, eels, clams, and shells began to be exposed. Exposed to the dry, the humidity, and the heat. Residents initially reported the changes to the seabed out of concern that they might be poisoned by the fumes from the decaying sea life. That happens. But even the people that are missing in the rubble, damaged buildings, can also pose a harmful problem for health in the area. That's why they're rushing to make sure they can get to those people and find those people that may have been trapped in the rubble. Very sad. Very, very sad. As some people said, this is a very dangerous time. It really is. A very dangerous time for everybody. Why am I talking this way? The simple reason is this. We are not being told what's going on. Look here in Indonesia. USGS is showing one earthquake here in Indonesia. There's 65 earthquakes. 65 earthquakes. That's 65 earthquakes here in Indonesia. They're showing just one. Just one earthquake here. This earthquake is a 4.5 moderate earthquake here. 4.5 moderate earthquake east of Java here. Near Karmelo, Indonesia. Where are all the other earthquakes here? Where are all the other earthquakes? They're also not showing us 3 earthquakes over here in northern Papua New Guinea. Northwestern Papua New Guinea right here. Not showing us those. There is one 4.9, one 4.3, and one 4.5 earthquake here. They're not showing them to us. Why not? Why not? We have another large earthquake right here, south of the Legacy Islands here in the South Pacific Ocean. This is a large 5.0 earthquake here. Large 5.0 earthquake here south of the Legacy Islands here in the South Pacific. This earthquake also has a 4.8 aftershock, a 4.8 magnitude aftershock. Interesting. Interesting. That's not all, folks. There's more. There's more, guys. Okay? While we are showing you these earthquakes here, there's a lot more. We have an earthquake that is 4.3 earthquake over here in north of Fiji. A 4.3 earthquake here north of Fiji. Interesting to note. Let's take a look at this. Guys, guess what? Guess what? How deep was this earthquake? This was a deep 4.3 earthquake here in the Fiji, north of Fiji. East of Labuka, Fiji here. 590 kilometers deep. 590 kilometers deep. That's a deep earthquake. Why am I addressing this? One, you have a right to know. Number 2, deep earthquakes propagate or birth larger shallower quakes. Deep earthquakes such as this propagate larger shallow earthquakes. Let's go to the depth of magnitude conversion chart. Let's go here. Let's go here and find 590 here. 590 here. We see we have to add a 1.18 to this magnitude here. We have to add a 1.18 to this magnitude of earthquake. Because guess what? This earthquake here that we showed you here in northern Fiji is going to propagate a 5.4 earthquake here. It's going to propagate a 5.4 earthquake here, either in Fiji, Tonga or Samoa out here to the northeast here, or possibly even over here in Vanuatu, the Legacy Islands here, or even over here in the Solomon Islands, or even further west over here into Papua New Guinea. Another 5.4 earthquake is going to happen here in the next 3 to 10 days. Okay? Most people don't know that. I've been trying to tell everybody this for a long time. Okay? This 5.0 earthquake here in the Loyalty Islands is 10 kilometers deep. 6.2, 10 kilometers deep. Very shallow earthquake. Deep earthquakes propagate or birth larger, shallow earthquakes, as that earthquake here in Fiji did today. Now, I want to go over here to our Australia here. I want to go over here to Australia. There's a reason for my madness here. Right here. In the southern desert, I shouldn't say southern, but it's northern Australia right here. We had an earthquake here today. Another 3.1 earthquake here today. 3.1 earthquake here in north central Australia. North central Australia here. Guess what? There's another one. There's another earthquake just northeast of Perth, Australia here. Just northeast of Perth, Australia here. This is a 2.3 minor earthquake here. Sorry. Perth, Australia right here. We have a 2.3 earthquake right there. USGS is not even telling us about these earthquakes, are they? No, they're not. Rarely, if ever, do they show earthquakes here in Australia. 2 more today. Last week, I showed you 4 earthquakes here in Australia. USGS didn't show any at all. None at all. None at all. Look at all these earthquakes in Indonesia. They showed 1. They showed 1 earthquake. There's more. There's more. Going up here to the northwest here, let me show you this. See what I'm talking about right here. See where Burma is? That's called Myanmar now. Myanmar. And Thailand to the south here. Just at the border of Thailand and Myanmar. That's a 2.4 minor earthquake. 0.4 minor earthquake. Going north into Myanmar, India area. Myanmar, India area. This is a 2.93.0 earthquake. 2.93.0 earthquake here. Interesting. Going up into southern China, Tibet region. This is a 3.94.0 earthquake here. 3.94.0 earthquake here. USGS not showing us anything. Okay. Let's go over here in the Himalaya Mountains here. Himalaya Mountains. 3 earthquakes here. USGS not showing us. I'm going to show them to you for a reason. This is a 3.6 small earthquake. Just to northwest is a 2.2 minor earthquake. Further out here to the west, this is another 3.0 small earthquake. Why am I showing you this? Simply this. Simply this. See this earthquake fault, the edge of the plate, off the southwest coast of Sumatra, Indonesia here? That's the western side of the plate here. That plate goes up here into Thailand and Myanmar here. Thailand and Myanmar. It's bordering India here. Going up in the Himalaya Mountains here. Meaning, seismic energy comes out of India here. I'm sorry, not out of India. Out of Indonesia here. Over here into Burma, Myanmar area, Thailand. All the way up here in the edge of the plate here. Edge of the continental plate here. The Himalaya Mountains are the edge of the plate here. USGS not showing us any earthquakes at all here. Over here in India, this is a 3.7 earthquake right there. Just east of Mumbai. Just east of Mumbai, India here. Okay? Then we go north here. in the Himalaya Mountains again. Right here. This is a 2.4 minor earthquake here. Again, seismic energy leaves Myanmar, Burma area, Thailand, and comes up here in the Himalaya Mountains. Then it goes to the northwest here. Goes further up here in the northwest here. A lot of times we have earthquakes here in Pakistan and over here in Afghanistan as well, Tajikistan as well, and Kazakhstan. All the stands here in the eastern Middle East. Why is that? Because here the edge of the plate separates. Part of the edge of the plate goes north here. Part of it goes north here, northern Iran and into Caspian Sea here, where you see Baku. Caspian Sea. The other part of the edge of the plate here goes into southern Iran. Goes down here into Pakistan and southern Iran. And then goes up here toward Kuwait City, Iraq. Goes further over here into Syria here. And then again over here into Turkey. Over here into Turkey. There are earthquakes here. There are earthquakes. Let's go back here to Kyrgyzstan. Let's go up here to Kyrgyzstan. We have a 3.2 earthquake here. USGS is not showing it to us. I'm showing you the European map. I'm showing you the European map here showing these earthquakes today. Going further up into Kazakhstan, this is a 4.1 earthquake here. 4.1 moderate earthquake here. Okay, let's zoom into this. This is a semi-mountainous region. What have I said about this region before? A year or so ago, we had a 6.1 earthquake up here. We had a 6.1 earthquake over here in Afghanistan. People here in Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Pakistan even, going up here into Kazakhstan, guess what? They're basically nomads. They live off the land. They move around a lot. Some of these people live in caves in the mountains. In some of the other towns that they've been able to establish, their houses are made of mud bricks, mud unreinforced masonry. When we have major earthquakes, guess what happens? These houses are destroyed. When that 6.1 earthquake hit here in Afghanistan, it was not a major earthquake, it was a very strong 6.1 earthquake. It destroyed homes, it destroyed lifestyles. Those mud brick homes came apart. People live in caves, the caves were destroyed. Some of the caves were even destroyed. The roadways through the mountains here are very treacherous. They are basically one-way transportation here. One-way transportation through the mountains of Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, and Kazakhstan. All the stands here. It was tough getting in to bring rescue supplies to the people who had suffered damage. It was even harder for rescue crews to go up here and aid trying to find people that had been buried in the rubble of the earthquake. That's what happens here. Seismic energy leaves Indonesia here, and again goes up here into Thailand, Myanmar, northeastern India, up here in the Himalayan mountains, and crosses over here into the stands here. Causes a great deal of damage. Even this 4.1 earthquake here in Kazakhstan caused damage here. 4.1 earthquakes are moderate earthquakes. They cause moderate damage. Here in the United States, pictures fall off walls, books and knickknacks are knocked off the shelves. Those of us that have dishes and plates and glasses in cupboards, though that glassware, that porcelain rattles around in the cupboards, those of us do not have latches on the cupboards, those plates, dishes, and glasses fall out of the cupboards and break, shatter on the ground. That's what kind of damage happened here in Kazakhstan today. I'm not saying they had glassware, porcelain on shelves, but their mud and brick homes came down here, even with a moderate earthquake here. That's what happens, guys. That's why we talk about this. These people just like you and I, except they're nomads. They don't have much. And what they do have is destroyed when these earthquakes hit. That's why I talk about this. I want everybody to understand what's going on here. Then I move over here to the Turkey-Syria border region, right here. See where it says Turkey? Guess what happened here 3 years ago? Guess what happened here 3 years ago? The Turkey-Syria border region here. February 23rd, 2023. We had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake that came into here. A very, very dangerous major earthquake. Apartment buildings came down. Homes came down. Businesses were destroyed with those homes and apartments. What apartments didn't come down were damaged. People living on the streets. We covered that. We showed you pictures coming out of Turkey-Syria border region. Over 5,000 people were unalived. And over 5,000 more were made homeless and injured. Made homeless and were injured. There are still earthquakes happening here every day. There are still aftershocks happening here every day. What I'm going to show you now are earthquakes that happen here today. 40 plus earthquakes here today. 40 earthquakes happen here today, at least. At least. We have a 10 plus circle there. We have a 20 plus circle there. 40 plus earthquakes happen here today. In that same Turkey-Syria border region. Yes, guys, they happen. Most of these earthquakes are 1.5. Actually, just not 1.5. They're 1.0, 1.9 tremors. They're not affected by anybody. Nobody feels them. No damage. But some of these earthquakes are 3.2 to 4.0. Some of these earthquakes are 4.3. Actually, some of them are 3.3 to 4.5 in magnitude. Small to moderate earthquakes here in this region today. I went poking through here earlier. I can't see the 4.0 or even the 3.5 here that I saw here earlier, but those are here. Those are definitely here. 4.5 earthquakes can do still a lot of damage here. They might not tear apart buildings, but they damage lives here. Still in this area, these people are also nomadic. Yes, in larger cities, there are apartments, there are buildings, homes, and everything else. These type of earthquakes don't do a lot of damage. But when people feel these earthquakes, I'm talking anywhere over 3.0, all of a sudden these people feel them and go, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's happening now? That's what these people are feeling now. That's what these people are feeling now. Unsure of what's going to happen. Unsure what's going to happen here. That is why I'm showing this to you. I want you to be aware of what's going on around you. Not just in the areas where you live, but around the world. Because all these earthquakes follow along plate boundaries. They follow along plate boundaries. In this case, all these earthquakes here in Turkish-Syria border region, they go south here. The plate boundaries go south here. South of Cyprus here, this island here. Nicosia Island is Cyprus. Cyprus Island. Go south here in the Mediterranean. Then the earthquakes continue over here in the Mediterranean Sea, south of Greece. They also go to the north here in northern Turkey. They also go through the plate boundary up here in northern Turkey. They affect everywhere else as well. They affect everywhere else as well. Yes, guys, there are earthquakes here in northern, southern, central Turkey here. Lots of earthquakes. USGS still doesn't show them, do they? Very few. Very few. Look at all these earthquakes, guys. Lots and lots of earthquakes. Look out here in the Aegean Sea here. These islands in the Aegean Sea belong to Greece. They're called the Dokanese Islands. Dokanese Islands here. This is a 2.2 minor earthquake. Not felt. Not felt. This is also 2.3. Also not felt. What's going on here, guys? What's going on here? These are out in the open water of the Aegean Sea here. Guys, there are two tectonic plates out here. I shouldn't say plates. There are two earthquake faults out here. What is happening here? There is magma down beneath the Aegean Sea. Every island here and everywhere else was made by volcanic activity. Every island here in the Aegean Sea and everywhere else birthed by volcanic activity. Magma is down here in the Aegean Sea. Down there in the Aegean Sea, guys. Magma is going through the magma channels here in the Aegean Sea, trying to find a volcano to get to erupt. Or maybe the volcanic activity, the magma gets to a place where it can erupt in the water and make a subterranean volcano. Not a subterranean, but a subterranean volcano underneath the water here. Volcano under the water. Okay? Why did we even get talking about this? Why did we even get talking about this? Let me show you. I want to show you what happened last year. Last year right here, we had a lot of volcanic activity happening here. A lot of earthquakes. They, in fact, evacuated this island. They totally evacuated this island because they thought the volcano was going to erupt. Yeah, they thought the volcano was going to erupt, guys. They thought it was going to erupt. Over here in the center of that harbor area, that is the cone of the volcano. This entire area, this entire island was shaking. They thought that the volcano was going to erupt. It didn't. Over a period of months, even 6 or 7 months, all of a sudden, most of the earthquake stopped shaking. Most of the seismic activity went away. Now, all we are getting now is a tiny bit of shaking out here in the Aegean Sea. Magma trying to hit bedrock, going and hitting bedrock here underneath the bottom of the ocean, hitting bedrock, causing earthquakes here, causing earth movement. If at some point in time the magma is able to reach through the bedrock, reach an area where it could erupt either in water or an island, then we'll have another volcanic eruption here in the Aegean Sea. Just so you know. We verified that. One other earthquake north of Crete, Greece. Let me show you that. One other earthquake just north of Crete, Greece, right here. This is a 3.2 small earthquake here. Far enough off the shore that nobody felt this earthquake. Far enough off of any island here that nobody felt this earthquake. Let's go over here to southern Crete, Greece, to the southern part of the island here. Right here. This is a 2.4 minor earthquake here. 2.4 minor earthquake here. Now, nobody felt that earthquake either because it was too small. Just a minor earthquake. Just a minor earthquake. If it had been larger, there are some small villages here in Crete, Greece that may have been able to feel that earthquake. Molrois, Crete, Greece here. You set it on the map. They might have been able to feel this if this had been a large earthquake. Just a minor earthquake here. Just so you know. Just so you know. But that's not all the earthquake activity that's hit here. I want to go over here to Greece. I want to spend some time over here in Greece, right here. See where Athens is here? Let's go over this island here. Let's go to this island here. Almost 20 earthquakes, 18 earthquakes right here. North part of the island. Interesting, huh? Guess what? There's another one right there. There's another one right there. 20 plus earthquakes right there. 20 plus earthquakes right there. Let's delve into this. Offshore here, we have a 1.7 tremor. 1.7 tremor. Look at all the other earthquakes centered right here. 1.7, 3.0. 3.0 small quake. Here's another 1.2. Offshore here to the south, 1.6. This is a 1.5. This is a 1.7. Most of these earthquakes are just tremors. We have one 3.0 and we have two 2.3, 2.9 earthquakes as well. Minor earthquakes are not felt. This time they got lucky. 2 months ago, we had a 5.1 large earthquake hit here. A 5.1 earthquake that hit right here. Could it happen again? Yes, it could. It very much could. Now, what I said before about this island, it needs to be said again. There are a bunch of monks that live on this island. There's a monastery there. When that 5.1 earthquake hit here, it unalived 2 of the monks. There were also other injured monks here as a result of that large 5.1 earthquake. Could that happen again? Yes, it could. Yes, guys, it could. 20 plus earthquakes here could happen again very realistically. Again, I want to emphasize, when you have swarms of earthquakes, that usually means you're going to have a much larger earthquake very soon. Remember that. When you see swarms of earthquakes, that means you may have another large earthquake very soon. Okay? But again, this is not the only place that has earthquakes here. It's not the only place that has earthquakes here. Right here, near Patras, Greece. Yesterday here in Patras, Greece, we had a 5.1 earthquake right here. 5.1 earthquake right here. Guys, look at this. We are still seeing small swarms of earthquakes like this. Usually we have larger swarms than this. That's why yesterday we had a 5.1 earthquake near Patras, Greece, yesterday morning. Just so you know, large earthquakes don't just happen in the Philippines. They just don't happen in Greece. They happen in Italy as well. They happen in Italy as well. Right here, north central Italy. North central Italy here. Let me bring it up on the USGS map so you know what I'm talking about here, so you can see it. USGS not showing any earthquakes here in Sicily or southern Italy at all. Nothing. Going up here near Florence, Italy here, between Rome and Florence, Italy here, 20 plus earthquakes here, swarms of earthquakes. In the past 2 years, we've had swarms of earthquakes here. We've also had 2 5.1 earthquakes here. 2 large 5.1 earthquakes here in the last 2 years. We showed you these earthquakes when they hit. They're still hitting. This swarm here is mostly minor tremors. Mostly minor tremors. Swarms of earthquakes mean that there's a much larger earthquake going to happen here. Even swarms of minor tremors here can mean and lead to much larger earthquake here. Remember that. I have Italian relatives. I have Italian ancestors here. Okay? Going up here into northern Italy. Up here, northern Italy, right here. Emilia-Romagna, Italy. 1.5 tremor here. Not a big deal, nobody felt it. The tremor nonetheless. Then we go up into the Italian Alps Mountains. Up into the Italian Alps Mountains, right here. This is a 0.9 microquake. Microquake, nobody felt that either. Just tiny. This is also in the Italian Alps, and 0.6 microquake here. Not a big deal. What you need to know is there is activity here that is making the Alps Mountains grow taller. There is activity here in the mountains making these mountains grow higher. Just so you know. It's interesting, a few minutes ago we had 27 people watch this program, dropped down to 23. That's craziness. That's craziness. I told you we were going to talk about earthquakes. I'm doing that right now. I'm doing that right now. Over here in the southwest of France, in the southwest of France, 1.9 tremors. Go north into Germany. Actually, this is also France. 1.8 tremor here in France. Going over in Germany now. 1.0 tremor here. Crazy, huh? Tremors. But guys, we just don't have tremors usually. These are minor earthquakes at 3.0, small earthquakes here in France and Germany. They happen. They happen all the time. All the doggone time. Now, let's go up to, remember we have a tunnel here? Remember we have a tunnel here? Leaving France, going over to England here, called the English Channel here. Guess what? Right here, we have a 2.1 earthquake here. 2.1 minor earthquake. That's pretty typical here, but we also get 3.0 to 3.5 earthquakes here as well. Just so you know. Just so you know. The further south here, at the France-Spain border here, right here, Andorra la Vella, 2.6 minor earthquake here. 2.6 minor earthquake here. Guys, usually we have two earthquakes here. One over here on the east side of that border, and one over on the west side of the border between France and Spain. That usually is what happens here, but not today. Only one earthquake here today. Usually these are minor earthquakes for the most part. Minor earthquakes for the most part. Going over into northern Italy here, just south of the border. 1.4 tremor here. Further to the west, a 1.6 tremor here. Over here into southern Spain. 1.9 and 1.8 tremors here. 1.9 and 1.8 tremors here. Then I want to take you over into some islands here. The Azores Islands just off Portugal and Spain right here. We have some earthquakes here. We have some earthquakes. This is a 2.3 minor earthquake. 2.1 minor earthquake. Another 2.1 minor earthquake. And further out here in the Azores Islands, we have another 1.9 and also 3.0 small earthquake in the Atlantic Ocean this time. No damage here, nobody felt this earthquake because it's out in the ocean. In the Azores Islands region. Earthquakes do happen here. Earthquakes do happen here. Guess what? Guess what, guys? Guess what happens here? We go down here into the Canary Islands here. Off the coast of Tenerife. Off the coast of Tenerife Island here. We have another 2.0 minor earthquake. 2.0 minor earthquake. Again, nobody felt it. Minor earthquake. I want to show you that. Why do I want to show you that? Because even here, I believe this earthquake was caused by magma down beneath the surface of the Atlantic Ocean. I believe magma caused that earthquake. Possibly trying to give us another island here. I don't know. But there is also a volcano here on Tenerife Island. There's also a volcano here on Tenerife Island. Right there. Right there. And around that volcano, guess what? All kinds of resorts are built there. All kinds of resorts are built all around that volcano because it's a great place to visit. People hike up the volcano. People fish in the lakes in this area. Yes, there's a couple small lakes in this area. They come there to play and have fun. What happened here 3.5 years ago? What happened here in the Canary Islands about 3.5 years ago? La Palma Island here. La Palma Island here. The Cumbre Vieja volcano woke up. The Cumbre Vieja volcano woke up. This time not at the summit of the volcano though. Down here in the spine of the volcano here. The mountainous region south of the volcano would open up here. Lava poured out all over the landscape here. Literally all over the landscape here. See the grayish area, grayish brown areas? This is where the lava covered the landscape here. All over this area. Some coastal towns were damaged here. Some coastal towns were damaged and even annihilated here. Annihilated, taken down. So that lava got over here to the east side of the island as well. When that happened, we covered it. We talked about it. We interviewed people here on Canary Island, on La Palma Island. We interviewed scientists. We interviewed volcanologists. We almost got a mayor from Spain here to talk to here about this volcano eruption. Incredible. Incredible. We covered it. Could it happen again? Yes, it could. For now, here at La Palma Island, the magma hotspot has moved. The magma hotspot that had been here has moved. What's happened now? USGS not showing us this. Not showing us this. The hotspot may have moved over here to just east of Tenerife. Could we have another island grow up here in the ocean? Possibly. Possibly. Or maybe that hot spot could go back underneath one of these islands. Could go back under one of these islands here. It's possible because, like I said earlier, all of these islands were all volcanic at one point in time. Every one of these islands was made by volcanism. Volcanism, guys. It happened. It happened. And I'm showing you this today. Also further out here in the Azores Islands. Out here in the Azores Islands. Even over here near Mid-Atlantic Fault here. Near the Mid-Atlantic Fault here. Guess what? Guess what we have here? Earthquakes. caused by magma here. Earthquakes caused by magma here. 2.8 minor earthquake here. 2.8 minor earthquake here. Now guys, I'm enlarging this so you can see what I'm talking about here. There are islands in this area. There are islands here. They evacuated this island right here. They evacuated this island right here about a year or so ago because they thought one of the volcanoes here was going to erupt. They thought that one of the volcanoes here was going to erupt. It's a possibility it still could. But again, the hotspot has moved. The hotspot has moved. One of the hotspots is right here, with a minor earthquake right here. One more here before I leave here. Look where this earthquake is right here. Just southwest of that, southeast of that island here. Southeast of that volcanic island here. These are also considered to be the Azores Islands here. Volcanism, guys. Volcanism. I'm telling you the way it is. Because everyone has the right to know. Everyone has the right to know, guys. Now, the rest of this week I'm going to be talking about earthquakes in the United States, earthquakes around the world when they happen. Off the southern coast of Iceland. Off the southern coast of Iceland right here. One is just off the coast and one of them's right here. Right here. It's on the Reykjanes Peninsula. On the Reykjanes Peninsula. This is a 2.8 minor earthquake here. 2.8 minor earthquake. Where's it at? On the Mid-Atlantic Fault. The Mid-Atlantic Fault. I've talked about this before. I'm talking about it again because it's very pertinent to what's happening here in Iceland. That is just a 2.8. This one is a 2.0, just off the coast. Guys, as I've stated before, the Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding like this. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is expanding like this. It's moving. It's moving. It's splitting. It's splitting, guys. This is possibly the Mid-Atlantic Fault here. Yes, there's magma down here. There's magma down here. 4 years ago, we had a volcano here. 4 years ago, we had a volcano right there. Right here. That erupted. Now the magma is gone north here. The magma is gradually migrated through the underneath the ground everybody walks on, and what we call the crust of the earth here. Magma's gone north. It's gone way up here. Way up here, guys. Magma's gone up here. Okay? What's going on? We had a small, minor volcanic eruption here. A fissure opened up about 2 weeks ago. It's since closed. It is since closed. But magma continues to move here. Magma continues to move here. Is it going to happen again? Possibly. Possibly could. See where the town of Greenvik here is? As the magma moved up the Reykjanes Peninsula, it came over here on the outskirts of Greenvik, to the western outskirts of Greenvik here. Two fissures opened up here. Two fissures opened up here. One fissure stayed far enough away from Greenvik, there was no problem. But the other fissure opened up here close to Greenvik. As that fissure opened up, see this gray area? This gray area is where lava came over here to Greenvik. Lava came over here to Greenvik. Lava destroyed 3 homes over here in Greenvik. Lava came over here and destroyed 3 homes here in Greenvik. Could it happen again? No. I believe the magma's gone further to the northeast. To the northwest, I'm sorry. To the northwest. It's moved up here. Could we have another volcanic eruption here in Iceland? Very probable. Very probable. Is it going to happen? Probably. Probably. We shall see what happens. We shall see what happens. Okay? Now, I'm showing you activity that is not shown on the USGS map because you all need to know about it. I believe everybody has the right to know what's going on, even in your own neck of the woods. Even in your own neck of the woods here. Let's go up here further to the north in the United States. The northern United States. Actually, I'm going to go into Canada first. USGS has taken this earthquake down. This is over here in St. Honoria, Canada. St. Honora, Canada. Quebec, Canada region. This is a 2.8 minor earthquake. 2.8 minor earthquake here. Rich says there's still lots of nomadic people in the world today. I agree, Rich. There are tons of them. But an earthquake here in Quebec, Canada region, Quebec province. 2.8 minor earthquake. 2.8 minor earthquake. Guess what? There's more. There's more. How about Bel Air, North Maryland? Bel Air, North Maryland. Just north of Washington, D.C. Just north of Washington, D.C. here. 2.4 minor earthquake here. 2.4 minor earthquake here. Right there. 2.4 minor earthquake there. Just outside of D.C. Now, guys, maybe I need to remind you what happened here about 6 years ago. 6 years ago. Over here in Virginia. Over here in Virginia. Just south of D.C. We had a 7.1 earthquake here. We had a major 7.1 earthquake here. It was such a powerful earthquake. It shut down train travel between Virginia and Washington, D.C. The Amtrak was shut down as well as other trains that went through this area. Shut down. It damaged homes and businesses here in Virginia. It damaged Washington, D.C. monuments. The Washington, D.C. Washington Monument was damaged and shut down. Lincoln Monument was also damaged but recovered very shortly thereafter. Other places here in Washington, D.C., including the Smithsonian Museum here, was also damaged. Could it happen again? Yes, it could. This is just a minor event here. This is just a minor event here in Washington today. North Maryland. A 2.4 minor earthquake. Could it get larger? Yes, it could. I would urge everybody, keep your eye on this. keep her on this. If we start seeing more and more earthquakes in this region, I would tell you all to get prepared. I'd tell you all to get prepared anyway. Everybody needs to have a preparedness plan. A preparedness plan for what they're going to do when an earthquake or any other disaster strikes them. Might not just be a natural disaster. Maybe you become unemployed. You lose your job or become disabled. What are you going to do? Prepare. Write a preparedness plan down on how you're going to handle everything you might be confronted with. Also, make sure you have a preparedness kit. We talked about this on Friday. I'm talking about it again today. A preparedness plan and a preparedness kit, and also with that preparedness kit, food and water. Water, guys. Water. Clothing, food, and water in your preparedness kit. Now, guys, it's getting late. It's after 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Do we have any questions so far? Any questions so far? I'm going over here right now to the pneumatic fault, what we're going to talk about tomorrow. The pneumatic fault. Tiptonville, Tennessee. I try to show you earthquakes in Tiptonville, Tennessee every week when we talk about this. These earthquakes happen every day. We're just fortunate that USGS decides to tell us about it here today on their map. This is the 2.2 minor earthquake here in Tiptonville, Tennessee. It's not the only seismic activity that happened here in Tiptonville. We have tremors, we have minor earthquakes and small earthquakes happening here in Tiptonville, Tennessee today. USGS still doesn't want to talk about it. Heaven forbid they tell us about a 3.0 small earthquake, which there was today. 3.0 small earthquake here in Tiptonville, Tennessee. They don't want to tell us about it because they don't want anybody to know what's happening. The pneumatic fault is alive and well up and down the entire fault. From south in Louisiana all the way up into Illinois, Indiana, and up into Iowa as well. Going over in Texas, you see a swarm of earthquakes here in Texas. Guess what? You're right. You're right. We're having a swarm here. Swarms of earthquakes here. Why? Guys, we're right smack dab in the middle of a huge oil and gas refinery area here. Oil and gas pumping all over this region. Literally all over this region. That's why we're having earthquakes here. This red earthquake here just happened. This is the 3.6 earthquake here. 3.6 earthquake, this just happens to be in New Mexico this time. This earthquake is in New Mexico. But this is still in the middle of an oil gas pumping operation. Look at these places, guys. Still right smack dab in the middle of an oil gas pumping operation. That's what happens here. Okay? Whenever we go dipping into the crust of the earth to get gas, oil, or even to get steam from the volcanoes, when seismic energy sees these man-made earthquake fault holes, it hits these holes, causing rock fracturing in the holes. Man-made earthquake fault holes cause the rock fracturing in the holes, causing earth movement. In this case, guess what? Guess what? A 3.6 small earthquake here today. Southeastern New Mexico. Southeastern New Mexico. And right here at the border of New Mexico and Texas, oil and gas fracking still. Look at that. Look at that. Oil and gas fracking still. This is the 2.6 minor earthquake. 2.6 minor earthquake, along with another right here. 1.0 tremor here. The border of New Mexico and Texas. Oil and gas fracking operations going on still. all over this region. Literally all over this region. All over this region right here. Okay? That's 1.6. This is 1.5. This is 0.6 microquake. This is a 2.0 earthquake. Okay? USGS is listing this as White City, New Mexico. It's not. This is in Texas, guys. Toyah, Texas. Northwest of Toyah, Texas here. More earthquakes here in the east. Right here. Near McKinney Acres, Texas. 1.5, 1.4 tremor here. This is a 2.4 minor earthquake here. 2.4 minor earthquake. 1.0 tremor here. 1.4 here. From there to the northeast. Northeast of Big Spring, Texas. This is a 1.2 tremor here. 19 kilometers northwest of Westbrook, Texas. Tremors, minor earthquakes here, guys. Oil and gas fracturing going on here. Oil and gas operations going on here. Causing earthquakes. One more stop here off the coast of Oregon. Off the coast of Oregon here. Right here, off the coast of Oregon here, on the Blanco fracture zone, in the Cascadia subduction zone region. In the in the Cascadia subduction zone region here. This is a 3.8 small earthquake. 3.8 small earthquake on the earthquake fault, the Blanco fracture zone. This is also 241 kilometers west of Bend, Oregon. West of Bend, Oregon. Further to the south here, guys, this 223 miles west, or kilometers west of Port Orford, Oregon. Port Orford, Oregon, also on the fault zone here. The fault zone. All these areas here are part of the Cascadia subduction zone region. Part of the Cascadia subduction zone region. Up here north here, this is the Juan de Fuca fault. Juandefeca fault. The Juan de Fuca fault. This fault that runs along the coastline of British Columbia, from Haida Gwaii Island here, down south here in Northern California, the Cascadia subduction zone. The Cascadia subduction zone. Down here, off the coast of California, off the coast of Petrolia, California, we have another 3.3 small earthquake here. The southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone region. Just west of the triple junction. Just west of this triple junction here. Where all three earthquake faults come together. Now guys, I'm sure we have more earthquakes here. We usually do. But again, the agency's not going to show them to us. Sad. Sad but true. Down here to the south. This is 2 kilometers west of San Simeon, California, on the Oceana Fault. 2.1 minor earthquake here. 2.1 minor earthquake here. We go further to the south here. Ojai, California. 1.1 tremor here. 1.1 tremor. This is a 1.6 tremor here. Come down here into the Los Angeles area. Into the Los Angeles area. I want to show you this earthquake here. Fontana, California. Fontana, California. It's not often that USGS will say we have an earthquake here in Fontana, California. This is a 0.8 microquake. Fontana. The United States Geological Survey and California Technical Institute has a bunch of seismographs all over Los Angeles, and one here in Fontana. They have turned them off to public viewing. They have turned the seismographs off to public viewing. Prior to them turning them off, January 12th this year, we were having three 3.0 earthquakes a day happening here in Fontana, California. 3 of them. 3 small earthquakes a day happening here in Fontana, California. I am dead sure those earthquakes are still happening. But again, USGS doesn't want to show them here because they don't want us to know what's going on here. They want us to believe nothing's going on here. There are earthquakes here. There are earthquakes all over the greater Los Angeles area. They're showing us another new earthquake here. This just happened. 1.7 tremor here near Loma Linda. Near Loma Linda, guys. Just a tremor here in the hills above Loma Linda. The hills above Loma Linda. The San Jacinto Fault. The San Jacinto Fault is right here. That's why we have the earthquake here. The San Jacinto Fault. This is the 1.0 here. This is the 1.0 here. The San Jacinto Fault is alive and well. The San Jacinto Fault is alive and well. Further to the east, you see the mountains here. The San Andreas Fault here is at the base of the mountains. The illustrious San Andreas Fault here is at the base of the mountains. Again, the San Andreas Fault is alive and well. They're not showing any earthquakes here. There are earthquakes here, I guarantee you. There are earthquakes here. The San Andreas Fault is getting ready to pop. The San Andreas Fault is said by the USGS themselves, the scientists and geologists here say the San Andreas Fault is locked and loaded. Locked and loaded here. What does that mean for everybody? Everybody here in the greater Los Angeles area, get ready. Because when the San Andreas Fault pops, it's just not these communities that live near the fault that are going to be inundated. Going to be inundated with earthquakes. Inundated with damage from the earthquake. The greater Los Angeles area is also going to feel these earthquakes because there are other auxiliary fault areas here. Other ancillary faults are here. That big, huge rumble from the San Andreas is going to activate the other ancillary faults in this region. I'm going to say, look out. Los Angeles area, look out. Long Beach is showing you here. Long Beach also had a seismogram. A seismogram is a computer readout from the seismograph itself. Before they took the seismograph readings down, we were seeing tremors, minor earthquakes, and yes, 3.0 earthquakes here in Long Beach every day. Every day. Multiple earthquakes here every day. The entire seismogram is completely full of color because there were so many earthquakes here. Fact. Fact, guys. Fact. And yet, USGS is not showing anything going on here. How about Anaheim here? Let's talk about Anaheim here. The same thing I said was happening in Long Beach is also happening here in Anaheim. The Anaheim seismograph was full of earthquakes. Tremors, minor 2.0, minor 2.0, 2.9 minor earthquakes, 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes every day here in Anaheim. Home of Disneyland and Knott's Berry Farm. 2 huge entertainment facilities here in Southern California. Unreal. Like I said, look out, guys. Look out. When these earthquakes hit, Disneyland is going to be hurt. Maybe some of the roller coasters at Knott's Berry Farm, will be made inoperable by the earthquakes. Because every time they have a 3.0 earthquake here in Anaheim, they have to inspect the tracks of the roller coasters. When they have bigger earthquakes than that, they have to shut their tourism down and go inspect their buildings, make sure they're still safe. Make sure they're still safe. Guys, I'm telling you this because this is true. This is absolutely truth. They're not showing us activity here because they don't want us to know what's happening. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Up here at Thousand Oaks, Panorama City, California. 1.2 tremor here. I can guarantee you this. There's more than just 1.2 tremor here in Panorama City. Hollywood, Pasadena, Glendale, Burbank, Los Angeles here. Earthquakes, guys, guaranteed. They may not want to show it, but it's happening. You can't stop earthquakes from happening. They're happening every day. Does anybody have any questions for me? Does anybody have any questions for me? Any questions? I've talked a lot about earthquakes. I've talked about a lot of earthquakes all over the world, literally. Literally. Any questions? Renee Steffi says recollections may vary, but I don't remember 7.0 in Virginia in the last 6 years. That was after having verified through Virginia Tech Seismological Observatory. I'm sorry if it wasn't 6 years ago, it was shortly before that maybe. I know what happened because it damaged the railway, it damaged the museums, and the beginnings of it's the beginnings of our country in Washington, D.C. I know what happened. It's going to happen again. It's a matter of time. Thank you for checking out, though, Renee. I appreciate that a lot. Any questions here, guys? Any questions? Joseph Strata says solar storm connection? Probably, but they've just been minor, small solar storms. Maybe C-class, M-class flares, that's about it. That's about it so far. But remember all those solar flares we were having last week and the week before? Those sunspots on the other side of the sun right now, they are still erupting. And when they pass by on the other side of the sun over to us, we're going to see solar storms again. We're going to see M-class, C-class flares, R and S-class flares. We may also see X-class flares again very soon. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. I'll give you more information about that in the next couple days here. Now, as I close out this program, I want to do so giving you information from our Heavenly Father. I do this every day on this channel. I talk spiritual matters here. Today, I'm going to John chapter 12. Chapter 12, verse 12. Okay? On the next day, much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, they took palm branches. Palm branches. What was this? Easter. They took palm branches and waving palm branches in the air on either side of Jesus Christ. They laid palm branches on the ground because they knew Christ was riding in on a donkey, a white donkey. In prophecy, guys, Christ was supposed to ride in on the white donkey, which he did. That was his final entrance into Jerusalem. The people of Jerusalem honored Jesus Christ. They knew who he was. Guys, we also know who Jesus Christ was and who he is. He's the Son of God. He's the very Son of God. Our elder brother, Jesus Christ. The one whom we should be following. The one whom we should be following. What I am saying is this. Let's make sure we are following Jesus Christ. Let's do that because what is happening? The earth is changing. The earth is changing for a reason. We are preparing to see the second coming of Jesus Christ. We're going to see wars and rumors of wars. We're going to see tempests. We're going to see earthquakes. These we're going to see as a result of Christ coming back to us, to judge us in the flesh. Let's make sure we're prepared to meet God. Let's remember to prepare ourselves to meet the Savior at his second coming. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. God be with you and bless you every day. There are people here on our channel right now, people in our greater EMA family that need our prayers. Sharon, for example, Stephen Volcano, Don Potoka, also one of our other mods. Renee Seb, you see in the chat. Even Heather, our other weather lady, both of whom are also moderators. All of us need your prayers, guys. We need your prayers and blessings on us as well to make our health better, make everybody's health better. Let's also pray for each other. We are prepared to meet Jesus Christ at his second coming because it's very soon. It's very soon. May God be with you this day and always. I have 2 PayPal addresses going across the bottom of your screen. Go there and help support this channel to our PayPal addresses here. We greatly appreciate it. Also, you see our email address scrolling across here. Go to our email address and give us comments and questions you have about our program, and also ideas what you want to see on this program so we can do that for you as well. You see our physical snail mail address here, 504 Bethel Road, Box 401, Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. You can send us mail here, letters and also cards, inserting checks or even cash inside the letter or card. Send it to us to our mailing address. We greatly appreciate it to help keep this program in the air. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for your prayers, preference for each other as well. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. May God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you on the other side. Have a good day, everybody. God bless. See you soon. Take care.
Here at Emergency Management Associates, we're dedicated and true, bringing you the essential knowledge, helping you see things through. From disaster preparedness to navigating recovery's embrace, we're here to guide you in every unpredictable time and place. We break down the complex, make it easy to grasp and absorb, sharing strategies for safety, the vital lessons you can't afford to hoard. So thank you for watching, and thank you so much for your sub. You're a key part of our growing family, a member of our knowledge club. With every like, every share, and every comment you send our way, our critical message spreads further, helping more people every single day. Together we're stronger and more prepared. That's the truth we all abide. You help us build resilience with nowhere for uncertainty to hide. Your engagement truly inspires us. Your feedback acts as a guiding light, helping us continually grow and making our channel's future bright. We're always learning, always striving to be better, bring you the most up-to-date information, no matter the weather. Emergency Management Associates is here for you now and forever, it's true. Keep watching, keep learning, because we truly appreciate all that you do. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same station, sometime after 4 p.m. Eastern.